You've heard it said, health is wealth, so enrich your life with the Healthy Home Hour, brought to you by the Healthy Home Market. Every Sunday, 9 to 10 a.m. Know what's new and classic for health and wellness. Meet the local and national experts. Live God's plan to thrive, not just survive. I'm your host, Holly Adams, and welcome to the Healthy Home Hour. Good morning, and thanks for being here this Healthy Home Hour, where today we're talking about what makes the ladies crazy, and not in a good way. I mean, have you ever suffered, or maybe you're in love with someone who suffers from female issues like fibroids or irritable bowel syndrome, adrenal fatigue? These issues can really change a woman's life, and thousands of women throughout the U.S. eventually try drugs or a cocktail of drugs and or surgery, and of course sometimes that is what's called for, but many times there are alternatives, and you've heard of them. There's real food, clean water, exercise, but the natural world, our plant kingdom, has something more. Today, we're talking about herbs and their balancing act. And our guest, Sarah Abernathy, author and herbal consultant and seasoned graduate of the prestigious East West School of Herbology, is here to help. Sarah writes and educates clients and customers for Crystal Star Herbs, started by the very famous Dr. Linda Page of the book many of you have seen at the Healthy Home Market, Healthy Healing, now in its 14th edition. So if you've been kicking around health food stores for a while, you have definitely seen this book or probably own a copy yourself. So Sarah Abernathy, it's so great to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. I know we've been here together before. I'm glad you're back.
Me too.
So Sarah, women's health, particularly reproductive health, has had a sort of inconsistent support in the past. It's kind of funny or strange to me that just recently, in the last week, that pink pill that came out for women that's analogous or like the blue pill Viagra for men finally came out, 20 years later after the Viagra pill. And there are still some stubborn issues and conditions for women reproductively and otherwise hormonally, that endocrine-wise, like IBS, uterine fibroids, candida, hormonal imbalances. Why is women's health slower, you think, in getting effective treatment in mainstream medicine? Is that really so, or is that just a perception?
I don't think it's just a perception. I think that men are largely the focus of study, and I think that people are a little hesitant to want to talk about women's issues, want to address women's issues, and kind of bring it to the forefront. I just think there's still just a lot of people are very uncomfortable with the idea, and I think we're making a lot of progress, but we obviously have a lot more to go. And I get a lot of calls at our office from women who, feel like they don't have any answers and feel like they're not really getting the support that they need for the issues that they're dealing with, either with their reproductive health or after menopause. Right.
In alternative or integrative medicine, there really does there seems to be a little more focus on women than in the allopathic mainstream medicine. And naturopaths have really been using herbs for female health for forever. And you have an extensive background in herbs and natural healing. What is it about herbs? Why are they so potent and healing?
Well, herbs just do so many different things. They're really not one thing for one problem. We can use them in really complex ways to deal with symptoms of a problem, to deal with underlying hormone imbalance, to deal with any side effects that people might be having related to an issue. So there's just a lot we can do, and because they're really foods, the body takes them in a way that's non-toxic, very easy to do at home, and we don't see a lot of side effects, interactions, and it's just a great way to kind of do some self-care at home for whatever issue you might be dealing with.
So what is there's so many aspects to herbs. They seem to have, I mentioned this balancing act a few moments ago. How do they balance out some of the adverse reactions? I'm thinking about, all the reactions they talk about on TV and the commercials. How are they different from drugs?
Mostly because they really are foods. So the way that, my mentor and our primary herbalist, Dr. Linda Page, always describes it is when you're taking a formula, you should really consider it to be something like a very complicated salad, something that's really healing from the inside. Herbs contain a lot of vitamins, essential fatty acids, minerals, trace minerals. So your body's really bringing in extra nutrients, along with a lot of times there's volatile oils in the herbs that help to break up congestion or tone the digestive tract, or a few herbs deal directly with stimulating the adrenal glands. So there's just a ton that we can do with herbs, and again, because they're foods, they're processed, they're not really stored anywhere in the body, so there's not that excessive toxic potential. Herb plants that are toxic generally are not available commercially. There are a few that we can use in small amounts for certain purposes, but largely what's out there is really food grade healing.
So that's so interesting. I know that Crystal Starr and Linda Page, Dr. Linda Page, the company started 30 years ago, and that you really focus on using the whole herb, not just leaves or the oils that you talk about. And of course, there's no adulterants or contaminants. What is the advantage of using the whole herb? Because I think most people think of herbs as just the leaves.
Right. We use the whole plant in terms of whatever the therapeutic part of the plant is. So if it's the root, we use the whole root. If it's the leaf, we use whole leaf. If it's the whole herb, we use the whole herb. But what we don't do is we don't partition parts of the plant. We don't take one item in the plant, like, say, hypericin from St. John's wort. That is used and standardized a lot for mental health issues, depression issues. And it's fairly successful. But it's not the whole St. John's wort. You lose a lot when you do that. You lose St. John's wort antiviral properties. You lose its pain-relieving properties. And you also may gain some side effects by just using this chemical part of the plant. For instance, the hypericin in St. John's wort can cause some photosensitivity that you really wouldn't see using the whole herb in normal amounts in Western herbal formula.
That's interesting because, people talk about, many folks, professionals say that herbs are kind of the start or inspiration behind prescription drugs. And I'm wondering if you think that's true, and or is that so? And that's interesting because it sounds as though then they really wouldn't be as effective or safe as whole herbs.
Well, we do know that a lot of drugs are derived from plants, a huge number. The whole plant itself cannot be patented, so there's less money to be gained from using the whole herb. But we do just have an incredibly improved safety profile using the whole herb. The body absorbs what it needs and eliminates the rest, just as it would with a food. So it's a great way to heal your body at home naturally. There are a lot of good herb formulas out there, and there's certainly education available for people who want to learn to work with the herbs themselves.
Well, herbs are just endlessly fascinating, really. I'm so glad you're here to talk about this today, and we can really dig into some details about what kind of help herbs can provide for women with some of these reproductive issues and other endocrine issues. So stay with us, folks. We're talking to Sarah Abernathy, researcher, writer, herbal consultant in the field of natural health for years and years, and managing editor of healthyhealing.com with Crystal Starr. So stay with us. We'll be right back on Streets 103.3. Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't, because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams. Get healthy at the Healthy Home Market, your locally owned natural and specialty foods grocery store. Try new Fresh Daily Hot Bar with meats, fish, and veggies. Cool off with fresh juices, smoothies, and banana whips. Stay healthy with the Healthy Home Market.
We face many of the same challenging situations every day, and Stress Care is your way to move through the day without the occasional stress, fatigue, and frustration that can happen when there is just too much going on. Stress Care contains the world's most prized adaptogens, ashwagandha, holy basil, and turmeric, and is clinically proven to effectively promote both peace of mind and vitality. We like to describe Stress Care by saying, same situation, different you. Stress Care can be found at fine health food stores everywhere or online at HimalayaUSA.com.
Novocaine, baby, baby, Novocaine, baby.
Hey, we're back. Glad you're with us. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour, sponsored by the Healthy Home Market. And we're talking to Sarah Abernathy from Crystal Starr, herbalist, author, writer, educator, teacher on health issues of all types. And before we go on, I just want to let you know what's coming up at the Healthy Home Market in the Community Wellness Center this week. Tomorrow, there's a great class at 6:30 to 8 entitled Protect Yourself from EMFs, or electromagnetic frequencies. It's $15 and really worth it. EMFs are a fact of modern life. With all the technology that surrounds us and passes right through us, we need to know how to protect ourselves. And EMFs have been linked to cancer, immune deficiencies, and other bad stuff. So at 6:30 to 8 tomorrow, Monday night, come on out for Protect Yourself from EMFs. And on Wednesday, the 17th, there's a class, Your Secret to the Foundation and the Fountain of Youth, at 7 to 8 with Nathan Cloud. It's free. Stay gorgeous and be active with your own secret fountain of youth with Nathan. And then on Thursday, it's Chef Ami L. He's back with raw vegan cuisine at 6 o'clock. $20 gets you the class, recipes, tips, and raw vegan food. Many of you know Chef Ami. He's a raw foods professional. And did you know that he has a degree in baking? I mean, how's that for a conversion? Chef Ami is back to the standard schedule that we had when the store was over on South Boulevard. So it's third Thursdays now every month with raw vegan cuisine and Chef Ami L. And then on Friday, come out for Aqua Chi Detox Foot Baths with Alicia Ashley, 10 to 6 in the Community Wellness Center. Call Alicia at 704-995-5337 for an appointment, or you can check it all out. Go to the Healthy Home Market website at healthyhomemkt.com. So back to our topic and our guest, Sarah Abernathy. You know, Sarah, we get, at the Healthy Home Market, we get lots of customers that come to our vitamin departments because their naturopaths want them to get Crystal Starr herbs in particular. And it seems that naturopaths rely on Crystal Starr for women's health. So tell us about your women's health programs for specifics. Say, I'd like to talk first about fibroids and endometriosis, and maybe start with what are fibroids and endometriosis?
Sure. We have done very well in this arena for women with fibroids, endometriosis in particular. We get a lot of calls about it, we get a lot of emails, and we've had a lot of great success. We always suggest that women consult with either a naturopath or other type of health professional before they get going to kind of see where they're at as far as the assessment process, because some of that needs to be done in person to determine where the fibroids are. Sometimes, they're on the wall of the uterus. Sometimes they're in the uterus. Sometimes women are dealing more with a cyst on their ovaries. And endometriosis is a whole other issue where the body is retaining some of that menstrual material, and it can really adhere to any part of the reproductive tract. Mostly what we hear back is, there's a lot of pain, there's excessive menstrual bleeding. There are a lot of signs that may point to this. But, we always like people to get an assessment to see what they're dealing with. There's a lot of variety in sizes of fibroids. But, again, they're extremely common. Some data has suggested that uterine fibroids are actually more common than blue eyes. And about 40% of women over 35 will have a fibroid at some point. And the body has some ways to deal with this. They generally go away after menopause. They don't always, but mostly they do. So racing into surgery, not necessarily the only option. There may be times where that's appropriate, but even medically, research is showing that only about 10% of hysterectomies are even necessary. So it's a lot to think about, and unless you're in an emergency situation, there's no reason why you can't take the time to find out if a natural approach may be a good way to start.
What is causing all these fibroids? There's so many of them.
I think that there's definitely a genetic predisposition. In a lot of cases, they are going to be hormone-driven. We see a lot of estrogen dominance today as far as, when we look at hormone panels with women, we see that we're heavy on the estrogen. And, I think a lot of us know today that we are being hit with a lot of estrogen mimickers in our environment. Weirdly enough, in pesticides, other types of environmental contaminants, they're all on the estrogen side of things, and they tend to build in the body and sometimes even interact, and they can bind to our own hormone receptor sites and really imbalance estrogen. There are a lot of other things that can imbalance estrogen, but that's one thing. I mean, we're dealing with an environmental issue.
Right. Seems to be affecting us on so many different levels. I'm wondering about how these herbs, how do they work together to provide a symptom relief, or do they actually reduce fibroids altogether? Can taking crystal star herbs get rid of your fibroids, perhaps?
We've had a ton of different types of response. We have heard back incredible results in terms of pain relief, improved cycles. Sometimes with fibroids and endometriosis, the person has a lot of pain. They have a very long menstrual period. So we definitely get some results there. We also hear back that there are changes on the ultrasound. So that we really do love women working with their physicians on this, because we can see what's happening. Larger fibroids are going to take a longer period of time to get rid of, but we have heard back. And again, sometimes these things in the body, they go away on their own, but we use herbs that have what we would call anti-tumor properties, and we have a lot of good results that way. So that would be things like Paudiarco, Maitake mushroom. Those are two main ones. We also use some liver herbs and some fantastic anti-inflammatory herbs.
What about, I mean, I'm familiar myself with the crystal herb formula of Women's Best Friend, and there's also Nature's Fibroid Control. Tell us about some of the stories, personal stories or testimonials of women that have been on these products.
Well, with the Women's Best Friend, and that product contains the Jamaican dogwood, which we love as a flavor. We've heard feedback, that people were able to avoid hysterectomy. We've had feedback that people use Women's Best Friend with natural progesterone or Vitex extract and have been able to reverse the problem, like a fibroid issue. We've also been told these formulas, the fibro defense is life-changing in terms of life quality. So we've really heard a lot of wonderful things. We have a full fibroid and endometriosis program on our website on healthyhealing.com, where we have a diet in addition to the herb formulas for people to work with. And largely what we're doing with the diet is following a plant-based diet. The more we avoid animal foods, the better we are off with the fibroid situation.
So the animal products actually contribute to the growth, the tumor growth of fibroids, even though they're benign tumors, but it does amp that up in some way?
It seems to. We have some research that, women who eat vegetarian have more fibroid relief. Certainly women that I've spoken to over the years, when they switch to a more of a low-fat vegetarian diet, they have a lot less pain. And some of this may be because these animal foods are extremely inflammation aggravating. So, those types of foods that aggravate inflammation in the body tend to make fibroids and endometriosis worse. They tend to make the pain worse. These food items may also be injected with hormones. They're pretty contaminated with antibiotics. I know that there's some really great grass-fed meats and things like that available too. And that should be less of a problem. But, commercially from the factory farms, we're really getting a lot of polluted food.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, grass-fed, grass-finished beef and, clean chicken seems to, fare better for all of us. We do better on that kind of meat. And I don't know if there are any studies out there about that yet, but there's a lot of omega-3s in that those various kinds of protein sources.
Right.
Yeah. So
and we can certainly do some experimenting, with small amounts of those meats and see, what happens to the body and see the difference. I think it's fairly obvious.
Right. Well, very interesting. I find it fascinating how there's so much, again and again, we hear about the xenoestrogens, the sort of faux estrogens that are in the environment as a result of pesticides. And I know plastics, all the petroleum products that we're surrounded by. So it's good to try to stay away from that. We're going to take another short break, folks. Stay with us. We're talking to Sarah Abernathy from Crystal Star, herbalist, author, writer. We'll be right back on Streets 103.3, Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Get healthy at the Healthy Home Market, your locally owned natural and specialty foods grocery store. Try new Fresh Daily Hot Bar with meats, fish, and veggies. Cool off with fresh juices, smoothies, and banana whips. Stay healthy with the Healthy Home Market.
We face many of the same challenging situations every day, and Stress Care is your way to move through the day without the occasional stress, fatigue, and frustration that can happen when there is just too much going on. Stress Care contains the world's most prized adaptogens, ashwagandha, holy basil, and turmeric, and is clinically proven to effectively promote both peace of mind and vitality. We like to describe Stress Care by saying, same situation, different you. Stress Care can be found at fine health food stores everywhere or online at HimalayaUSA.com.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Okay, we're back. Glad you're here. I'm Holly Adams. We're here with Sarah Abernathy of Crystal Star Herbs. And I want to just remind you before we go along that the Healthy Home Market on Central Avenue, that's 1330 Central Avenue, has a new patio. And it is beautiful with all new tables, chairs, umbrellas, a wonderful little garden there. And come on out and check it out as soon as possible. It's a great way to, it's great people watching for one. And it really is about the cheapest, healthiest dining out experience you can have in the Queen City. That's at the patio at the Healthy Home Market at 1330 Central Ave. Sarah, before the break, we were talking about fibroids and the impact of estrogens and the various pesticides in the environment. But I'm wondering too about, is all this also impacting younger women that have PMS or premenstrual syndrome?
I think that we definitely have an assault on our bodies. I for one, I had PMS years, had a lot of things going on then. Definitely started early with herbs and had very good response. But before that, before I got into this field, my body was really kind of a mess, and I did not have a very good diet, and really had dramatic differences when I started doing some short liver cleanses, some hormone balancing herbs. Really had some good response there, and just kind of quickly, herbs have phytohormones in them. Certain herbs do, and those are plant hormones, and they are extremely diluted, extremely gentle, but the body's own hormone receptor sites take them in and use them. And what that does is actually lower the overall estrogen in the body, which for a lot of women today who are estrogen dominant, that is an incredible relief and an incredible balancing activity. And so we see that with red clover, we see it with ankwai, damiana, soy foods, the fermented soy food we always recommend. But we definitely see kind of a net lowering effect of estrogen with plant hormones.
What about Candida is really a big issue for so many women, and this imbalance leads to a lot of yeast infections, which are really uncomfortable. What causes Candida, that Candida imbalance to begin with?
Well, Candida normally lives in the gastrointestinal tract and the urinary tract of the body purposely. So it's normal, but it does and can get out of balance. And what we really see with this is a lot of times it's a person that has been either taking antibiotics, possibly steroids, and also, if your diet is really high in sugar, that can really throw off the pH and cause Candida to multiply. And Candida yeast actually feed off excess sugars and carbohydrates in the digestive tract, and that can really exacerbate the problem, and you can really end up with a pretty extensive yeast infection, which can actually travel through the body.
Yeah, sugar just seems to be, the bad guy in on the plate. No matter how you slice it. I mean, so when we're talking sugar, are you saying everything from white sugar right on through to, say, having an apple or a mango?
Largely it's the processed foods and the refined sugar and refined carbohydrates that are the problem. But if you're already really hit with candida and you have a lot of excess yeast in your body, you're going to want to cut down on all sugars until you can get it back under control. So an apple, actually, because it has a lot of fiber in it, is usually well tolerated, but that mango's got a lot of sugar.
Right.
You're probably going to have to skip that for a couple weeks while your body's rebalancing.
Okay, that's tough because those are so great, those mangoes, particularly this time of year.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of menopausal women complain about vaginal dryness and hot flashes too. Are there herbs that Crystal Star produces that can treat these? I imagine there are.
We have some fantastic help with our women's dryness formula, and that's one that we use a couple of years, sometimes before if it's necessary. And for women's dryness, we actually have people use it not just for vaginal dryness, but for dry eyes and dry nasal passages, because the herbs in there seem to improve the hydrating elements of the mucous membranes. I know that sounds pretty wild, but they actually do. And we have that with licorice. Licorice seems to do that. The herb dendrobium in there. And we also use some Ayurvedic shatavari, which is an asparagus, which seems to really help with vaginal dryness too.
Shatavari is actually asparagus?
Yes, it's a type of asparagus.
Interesting. So I wonder, there must be some good home care options to deal with vaginal health too. Have you got any suggestions?
Well, if you're dealing with vaginal yeast, I've heard back good results from people who just do a plain yoga. And there's certain kind of gentle home care douche options that can help. We don't really advocate a whole lot of douching because that can actually exacerbate a problem. But, for kind of temporarily, for maybe once a week or twice a month, doing something like apple cider vinegar in distilled water, and that would just be like a teaspoon of it. And it's really meant to help correct the pH. And so that's something that we really want to do is correct the pH, because once we do that, we can really eliminate a lot of problems. We can get rid of yeast usually. We can usually get rid of bacterial infections. So balancing pH is really important. Women's dryness formula seems to help too. I mean, we Dr. Page could hardly keep it on her shelf for herself because her friends were always borrowing it. And there's also some good applications. You can make your own salve with herbs, and that, in a base of jojoba oil, one thing, cocoa butter. So those are some things that you can do. And, strangely enough, we talk a lot about menopause. Hot flashes get a lot of press. People talk a lot about hot flashes. But when they really look at the studies of people coming into the doctor, the number one complaint is actually the vaginal dryness, which is more of a problem than people realize. I mean, it can really be unhealthy for the tissues.
How about for women that are pregnant? I know Crystal Star I know you all source verified non-GMO ingredients for all your herbal formulas, which makes me think of pregnancy and babies, because there's a lot of info out there about how there are really a number of baby formulas that are made from soy that are GMO'd or genetically modified. So I'd like to talk a little bit about if there's some herbs that are good for women when they're pregnant.
Well, the herbs that we use for pregnancy, we use a lot of teas. Red raspberry is a wonderful herb for pregnancy, really well tolerated. But because pregnancy is such a delicate time, mostly what we're doing is trying to provide a lot of nutritional support from things like green drinks, and then the occasional pregnancy tea, which might help with indigestion or nausea or stress. And all of those types of things are really well tolerated. But I definitely like women who are pregnant to shop in the pregnancy aisle so that they're getting something that's catered towards them, usually made by women who have a background as midwives and really know what they're doing with herbs. Because some herbs are definitely not appropriate for pregnancy.
Okay, great. Good to know. So, folks, stay with us. Keep it locked right here on Streets 1033. We're talking to Sarah Abernathy about women's health from soup to nuts, talking about what you can do to help yourself at home and with Crystal Star Herbs. You're listening to Streets 1033. We'll be right back.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't, because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Get healthy at the Healthy Home Market, your locally owned natural and specialty foods grocery store. Try new Fresh Daily Hot Bar with meats, fish, and veggies. Cool off with fresh juices, smoothies, and banana whips. Stay healthy with the Healthy Home Market.
We face many of the same challenging situations every day, and Stress Care is your way to move through the day without the occasional stress, fatigue, and frustration that can happen when there is just too much going on. Stress Care contains the world's most prized adaptogens, ashwagandha, holy basil, and turmeric, and is clinically proven to effectively promote both peace of mind and vitality. We like to describe Stress Care by saying, same situation, different you. Stress Care can be found at fine health food stores everywhere or online at HimalayaUSA.com.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Hey folks, we're talking about herbs, or as the British or Australians say, herbs, today here with Sarah Abernathy of Crystal Star Herbs. And boy, there's just so much to talk about. I'm wondering, Sarah, all people, men and women, seem to have a problem with irritable bowel syndrome, or just having a problem with bowel movement in general, one side or the other of it. But women seem to have a worse time with it. Is there a hormonal component to it? And what is it that causes IBS?
We believe that there is a hormonal component, and the statistics show a similar situation. About the 58 million Americans that have irritable bowel, about 80% of them are women.
Wow.
So it's really a women's issue in a lot of ways. Next to the common cold, it's the second most frequent reason for a work absence or a trip to the doctor. The symptoms of irritable bowel can be chronic, and they tend to worsen in the week before menstruation. So for women who notice the week before their period, they have more diarrhea, gas, constipation. That may be a sign that they are having a certain type of irritable bowel situation.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm wondering with IBS, are there's colon spasms and very uncomfortable constipation. What herbs help? What formulas does Crystal Star Herbs have?
Our bowel tone formula has been available for 80s, and I'm going to say that in my mind, it's the best product on the shelf for irritable bowel. There's a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of what's out there is too strong for somebody who has irritable bowel. A person usually needs something with calming herbs, soothing herbs to release gas, and that's this formula. So the bowel tone has peppermint in there, which is a fantastic gas-relieving herb. It also uses aloe vera, which is a great colon regulator. And when you use it in the proper amount, it's a nice colon cleanser, but it's not too strong. And it can also sort of deal with damaged tissue. It has some healing properties. We know how wonderful it is for the skin. It's also really wonderful for the stomach and colon bowel system.
Would this help with leaky gut that seems to be so prevalent now?
We've had a lot of people use it for things like leaky gut. I think it's a fantastic rebuilder. You can use something like bowel tone with aloe vera juice, and you can get some kind of accelerated results there. Sometimes when you combine it with enzymes, you can get some accelerated results with that too. But definitely a great colon toner and rebuilder.
Boy, that's a great, that's very hopeful. If you can really get your colon working, you're going to, and your intestines, you're going to absorb all the good things you're doing. I'm always amazed that, for so many of us who are trying to eat well and do all the right things, it seems like the key is to help the colon so there's better absorption of all these nutrients.
Yeah, and you can really get your immune system back in good condition once you get the colon bowel system healthy. So for people who are dealing with that, chronic digestive issues, chronic infections, for immunity, very good idea to start with the colon bowel system first.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because it seems like the immune system is related to so many of these weaknesses we're talking about today. And I know that Crystal Star, you've got some focus on immunity. It's very interesting, in fact, on your website at healthyhealing.com. What are there herbs in particular that you recommend that we can get through Crystal Star?
We have a wonderful immune support formula. Certainly, if you're wanting to kind of tackle like a leaky gut or irritable bowel situation, you can start with bowel tone, and you can sometimes when you deal with the worst problems first, secondary problems go away. So sometimes you can do some herbs to deal with digestion, and you can actually improve your immune system that way. But for the immune system, our immune support is a great formula. And again, we use things like maitake mushroom in there. We also use some olive leaf extract, and we will use golden seal and 2 different species of echinacea, and that's where we get the best results with echinacea.
How about, summer's here and everyone wants to look good and feel confident in a bathing suit or shorts or their little tops. What advice do you have for folks dealing with weight gain or an energy slump? What herbs could we go to for help?
Well, I definitely suggest starting with a quick detox first.
Oh, okay.
So if you're finding yourself dealing with some really stubborn weight gain or poor energy here at the beginning of summer, you can start with a light detox from fats and sugar. that would be a juice cleanse, and we do have a formula as well to help support natural, healthy weight loss, and that's our fat and sugar detox caps. And they're very popular. Most people can benefit from doing something like this. The herbs in here are meant to balance blood sugar. We have some chromium in there, which is very good for low blood sugar swings. And we also add some great herbal fat burners like Garcinia cambogia and mustard seed.
Ooh, good stuff there, yeah. Detoxing is a big focus for people. They're really into detoxification. Explain to us a little bit the details of detoxification. How does it really help someone lose weight? You're suggesting it, but why does it work to lose weight?
Right. It's what we're doing is giving our bodies a break from solid food, and we only do it for a couple days. And there are a couple at solid food if you need it. But largely what we're doing is fresh vegetables, which give the body a huge infusion of enzymes, which accelerate metabolism, give you a whole lot of energy, and also just a ton of nutrients. So usually people feel really, really good when they do this. It also helps to clear blocked body pathways. So if we're dealing with some liver exhaustion or colon backup, you can get rid of a lot of that detox. And detox also supports the liver, so the liver has to do just a ton of work for fat metabolism and hormone metabolism, so you get a lot of benefits. I know today we're hearing a lot about how detox is not necessary, it's a bogus health trend. But we really find doing these short juice fasts periodically through the year can offer a lot of benefits. And we're not doing extensive detoxes that last a month or so. We're doing more like a juice fast that would last anywhere from 24 hours to at the max 7 days. And most people will just do a long weekend. And the herb formulas that help to support detoxification, those can be taken more regularly. It's the fast that we only do very temporarily.
Okay. Because I'm wondering how somebody would know, like what are some body signs aside from feeling heavy? What are some signs and symptoms that would indicate a person is overloaded with these fats and sugars?
Well, sometimes people will see more cellulite, and this is in women. Certainly, it's a little bit more of a women's issue, but men get cellulite too. And so what you might see is instead of cellulite, on the upper leg, you might see it going further, more towards the knees. You might see a little excess weight in the arms or your face. And then, when we're dealing with a high sugar diet, and it's a problem for a lot of us, you sometimes will see some poor skin texture or even acne because the sugar seems to really imbalance testosterone. So one of the big signs that you're getting too much sugar, especially as you get older, would be some adult acne. Okay,
well, that's good to know. I think people are sort of shocked when they get to be older and suddenly they have acne, but they didn't when they were a kid. We're going to take a short break. We have lots more questions to ask. I want to get some good information from you, Sarah, as we move on when we come into the next segment after the break. So stay with us, folks. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour on Streets 103.3, Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Get healthy at the Healthy Home Market, your locally owned natural and specialty foods grocery store. Try new Fresh Daily Hot Bar with meats, fish, and veggies. Cool off with fresh juices, smoothies, and banana whips. Stay healthy with the Healthy Home Market.
We face many of the same challenging situations every day, and Stress Care is your way to move through the day without the occasional stress, fatigue, and frustration that can happen when there is just too much going on. Stress Care contains the world's most prized adaptogens, ashwagandha, holy basil, and turmeric, and is clinically proven to effectively promote both peace of mind and vitality. We like to describe Stress Care by saying, same situation, different you. Stress Care can be found at fine health food stores everywhere or online at HimalayaUSA.com.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Hey, welcome back. Glad you're here. On the Healthy Home Hour with us today, talking to Sarah Abernathy of Crystal Star Herbs. We've been covering a whole slew of subjects, a buffet from fibroids to, adrenal issues we're going to get into here a bit too. And I want to ask you, Sarah, there's so much conversation, and we've talked about it earlier about plastics and the xenoestrogens and it seems to affect the thyroid issues a lot. And when someone goes to the doctor, some of these tests really aren't they're not very conclusive. And it's problematic because, the thyroid panels seem to be kind of obsolete. Can you give us, is there a connection between the things we've been talking about today and the thyroid?
Thyroid problems are extremely prevalent. What we see with the test monitors a numerical amount of thyroid hormone. It doesn't take into consideration how the body processes thyroid hormone. That's where that there's a difference, so an impact. So if the body's not processing that thyroid hormone well, it doesn't matter if it's of it. And also,
say that again, Sarah. I'm sorry, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Would you mention that again, please?
I just was saying that with the thyroid, the body may have the thyroid hormone according to the test, but the body may not be processing it correctly. And that leads to a lot of thyroid that aren't detectable from the traditional tests.
Yeah, that's so disturbing, really. I mean, it's hard to know how to work your way out of that one. It's when you talk about the thyroid, it's hard to, are there any Crystal Star herbs that can support the thyroid?
Seaweed is a wonderful food herb for the thyroid. Works extremely well for a lot of people. We use that in our Ocean Minerals formula, and also on thyroid. Both of those are great thyroid nursing formulas. And for women that aren't sure if they have a thyroid issue, they can find out more information on either healthyhealing.com or wilsonsyndrome.com. Those websites will give you more information on signs and symptoms, and also about thyroid that aren't detected by traditional tests and whether you might be a person affected there. And one of the signs would be kind of a chronically low body temperature. So that's one sign. But when you do use things like the seaweed contains a lot of organic iodine
Great.
that really directly feeds the thyroid.
Mm-hmm. And, that's great information, because I think people get really confused, overwhelmed, and annoyed about the thyroid help that they get. So seaweed is a big one. I've actually heard about taking seaweed baths. Can that help the thyroid too, aside from taking it internally?
Well, taking a seaweed bath, like a hot seaweed bath, definitely gives your metabolism a little kick. Very good for fat burning. The skin absorbs some nutrients for certain. Definitely a good idea to include those seaweeds in the diet or in a herbal capsule as well.
And how about, in talking about the thyroid, you really can't discuss it without talking about the adrenals. And adrenal fatigue is really seriously on the rise in the U.S. I mean, it's just burgeoning. How long do crystal star herbs take to work, to get the adrenals recharged? Because they're really, a lot of us are stressed out, and the adrenals take the hit from stress.
Definitely. I was going to say that in this case, that I think stress is really the huge culprit for a lot of us. And with the adrenal energy formula, that contains seaweed and also licorice, a few other wonderful herbs. Normally people start to see results in about a week, but the full program is 3 to 4 weeks to try and really build back up your adrenal gland strength.
Is there ever a time where somebody maybe shouldn't take herbs for their adrenals? Can you ever overstimulate the adrenals?
For people that have high blood pressure, we go a different route. And so for them, we'll usually do herbs for the nervous system. And so that would be something like our relax cap. And by simply relaxing the body, they're able to get the adrenal back. They do well with the nice thing about licorice, though, is, again, when we use it in moderate amounts as a food item, the body uses it and gets the rest, and it stay in your system. So, but we don't recommend a lot of licorice for people that have high blood pressure.
I see. So you're saying take the relax caps, and calming down the nervous system will help the adrenals, and that's a better way to go when you have high blood pressure.
Absolutely. And sometimes just supporting the thyroid, too, with the seaweed can really put the adrenals in a better position.
Wow, cool. What about this thing called the OAT axis imbalance that refers to adrenal problems? You hear more and more about that, the OAT axis.
That I'm not too sure about that. That one I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
So I would probably have to research that and maybe talk about it at another point. I haven't heard about that. But I will say that for myself, I have had low blood pressure for many years since my son was born. And I've used the adrenal energy and licorice, and was actually recommended by my doctor to take licorice for it. And it went back up about 10 points. So we don't talk a lot about low blood pressure today, but, it's another issue, and it can make you feel pretty lousy.
Yeah, it's so funny because everybody thinks, oh, it's so great, your blood pressure's low, and you're so healthy, and you must be doing great cardio work, working out. But it really, there is a flip side to it if it's too low. Right,
yeah. Yeah, and my doctor said that, they're never going to patent licorice, so they'll never, they'll probably never have drugs for this. But get some licorice, and, you suggested the candy, and I got a little bit of the candy, but I went and, obviously got the adrenal energy and also some licorice extract, and you can see a clear difference. And so for those people that get low blood pressure, maybe when they stand up, and they get a drop in blood pressure, and they get dizziness and excess fatigue, get some great strengthening from adrenal energy and these other herbs. Sometimes you else to kind of find you with your health.
What about, Crystal Star has veggie caps or capsules that makes taking herbs easy, because a lot of people really don't want to have standard capsules. Why do you think they're better? What's going on? How are standard capsules made, and why are veggie caps, sort of the go-to now?
Yeah, the standard caps, I believe, are an animal byproduct. So a lot of people use veggie caps for that, and that they're vegetarian. They don't want to protect those animal products. The animal caps are harder to digest. So for people who are taking herbs or supplements because they're having a digestive issue, they particularly want to stay away from things like that. Versus the veggie caps, which are really easily absorbed. So we don't get as much, sometimes we'll get a little bit of reflux and things like that, and when we use the veggie caps, they tend to be absorbed pretty quickly. And you can also always take the herbs out of the capsules, so that's another option.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So you take them out and you pour them into your smoothie or down your throat?
Exactly. You can do some. That's a great way to do it because it kind of hides taste. But certain herbs, they're all going to be different, but putting them in a smoothie is a great way to go. Another great thing about using these veggie caps that we have is they're also non-GMO. So, everybody's trying to stay away from these things. And, if you're out there purchasing healthy supplements, you don't want to have them contain GMOs, and those veggie caps can be verified.
That's wonderful. Yeah, GMOs are a good thing to stay away from. So today we've talked about so many great things like Women's Best Friend or Nature's Fibroid Control, the Fibro Defense for fibroids and endometriosis. And we've talked about adrenal energy for adrenal fatigue, which is so prevalent. And also you mentioned what was the one that you mentioned for candida control?
That one is the Candida Balance Caps.
Great.
And that one, great antifungal, great for candida symptoms.
Great. Okay. And you mentioned something also for thyroid that you thought would be helpful, the seaweed.
Right. And that there's the thyroid is one of them. And that's a good formula for people with thyroid issues that are also dealing with that stubborn weight gain.
Ah, yes. Very good. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being here and sharing, really a wealth of info about crystal herbs today. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
So, folks, thanks for being here to know how Crystal Star Herbs can support you, your female health issues, your weight issues, and thyroid issues. There's really a value here with whole herb therapy for your immune system and weight loss and increasing your energy. So get to the Healthy Home Market, talk with a vitamin specialist for more personal help today. And big thanks for Sarah Abernathy. I'm Holly Adams, and until next week, I'll see you on the patio at the Healthy Home Market. This is Streets 1033, Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
Pay it forward and restore yourself by making the healthy choices for you and your family, and enjoy life with the Healthy Home Market. Feel the goodwill and own great health. Check it out at healthyhomemkt.com. That's healthyhomemkt.com for store locations, details, and discounts. Get the best of God's green blue earth at the Healthy Home Market.